A robot just ran 100 meters faster than Usain Bolt. Then, a few hours later, a different robot lay flat on its back in the same stadium, kicking its legs in the air like a toddler having a meltdown. Somewhere else on the same afternoon, a robot got carried off the track on a stretcher after slamming into a safety wall. This all happened in the same city, in the same week, at the same event. China didn't just build a few impressive robots, it built an actual Olympics for them. And what happened there tells you a lot more about the future than a highlight reel ever could. If you want to keep seeing the strangest and most impressive things coming out of China's tech scene, this is the channel for that. Now, let's get into what actually happened in that stadium. This is the World Humanoid Robot Games, now in its second year. It's being held at Beijing's National Speed Skating Oval, nicknamed the Ice Ribbon, a venue originally built for the 2022 Winter Olympics and now repurposed for machines instead of skaters. This year's edition runs for 5 days in August, and the scale is hard to overstate. More than 2,000 humanoid robots are competing, representing over 660 teams from 16 countries across 6 continents. That's roughly 4 times as many robots as competed just 1 year earlier. The event mixes traditional sports with practical, job-like challenges, more than 50 categories in total. So a robot might sprint down a track in one event and then try to stock a shelf or sort packages in the next. The idea is simple. Stop asking robots to just look impressive in a demo video and start testing whether they can actually perform under pressure, in public, in real time. So what did the robots actually do? Track and field is the headline draw. Sprinting, relays, standing jumps. But the schedule goes far beyond that. There's robot soccer, tennis, weightlifting, tug-of-war, combat events, even street dance. And then there are the quieter, less flashy challenges that turn out to be brutally difficult. Picking up small objects with a pair of tweezers, twisting open a jar, sorting items on a shelf. Watching a robot sprint is entertaining. Watching it fumble a jar lid for 30 seconds straight is where you really understand the gap between human hands and robot hands. Balance, grip, timing, all of it has to be calculated in real time by a machine that's never actually felt anything. Now, for the part that should genuinely surprise you. In the sprinting events, a humanoid robot posted a 100-meter time of 9.39 seconds. For context, that's faster than Usain Bolt's official world record of 9.58 seconds. A different robot cleared a standing high jump of nearly 2.9 meters. To put that leap in perspective, last year at this same competition, the fastest 100-meter time recorded by any robot was over 21 seconds, more than double this year's winning time. That's not a small improvement. That's an entire generation of hardware and software packed into 12 months. But before you assume robots have simply become better than us, slow down. These are narrow, specific feats performed on a straight, flat, controlled track, built entirely around one motion the robot has been optimized to repeat. A human sprinter has to react to a starting gun, hold a line, and manage fatigue over a full career. A robot doesn't get tired in the way we do, and it isn't doing anything else at the same time. So yes, in that one specific task, on that one specific day, a machine outran the fastest human alive. That's remarkable. It is not proof that robots have surpassed human athletes across the board. And here's where the story gets a lot more fun, because the same event that produced a world record-breaking sprint also produced some of the most chaotic footage you'll see out of China this year. During training, one robot ran so fast it couldn't stop in time, hit a safety cushion, and snapped at the waist. Another was filmed lying on the ground, legs flailing helplessly, unable to right itself, looking exactly like a toddler mid-tantrum. During the 400-meter event for smaller robots, one competitor crashed hard enough that it had to be carried on a stretcher. Last year's games had their own version of this chaos too, with robots colliding mid-race and in one soccer match, several robots simply collapsing, one after another, almost like dominoes, because unlike human players, a robot fallen down doesn't always get back up on its own. These machines can smash a world record and completely fail to stand up 5 minutes later. That contrast isn't a flaw in the story. It is the story. So why is China pouring this much money, attention, and national spectacle into robots falling over on live television? Because underneath the entertainment, this is a stress test. A stadium full of cameras, judges, and unpredictable conditions is one of the fastest ways to find out what actually works and what still breaks. Chinese officials involved in organizing the games have been direct about this shift. Last year, the bar was simply crossing a finish line. This year, the bar is whether a robot can actually get a job done. And the jobs being tested here point straight at where these machines are ultimately headed, into factories, warehouses, logistics centers, hospitals, elder care, and eventually homes. Every sprint, every jar twisted open, every shelf restocked is training data and proof of concept rolled into one televised event. Zoom out further, and this stops being about one country's stadium. Humanoid robots have become one of the most closely watched technology races on the planet, with companies and governments around the world racing to build machines that can move, balance, and work in spaces designed for humans. China is positioning itself to lead that race, and events like this are a very public way of showing how fast its robotics industry is moving, not just to the rest of the world, but to its own engineers and investors. So where does this go next? If the jump from a 21-second 100 meters to under 9.4 seconds happened in a single year, it's worth asking what 5 more years of this pace actually looks like. Robots that don't just sprint, but recover instantly when they fall. Robots that finish a work shift instead of a training lap. Robots that learn a new movement the way you'd learn a new skill, by watching and adjusting, not being reprogrammed line by line. None of that requires these current robots to be perfect. In fact, the sloppy, stumbling, occasionally hilarious version of this technology might be exactly the point. It means engineers are testing this stuff in public, in real conditions, instead of hiding it in a lab until it's flawless. A year ago, this kind of technology belonged in science fiction movies. Now it's happening in a stadium in Beijing, with a scoreboard, a crowd, and a robot that just quietly broke a world record Usain Bolt has held since 2009.